In 1968, Dr. King was assassinated and Chicago was set ablaze. McDonald's franchises sat empty and they needed a plan. Operation Breadbasket had one. Put black owners in black neighborhoods. So in December, Herman Perry became the first black operator of a McDonald's franchise in Chicago. And it worked. More black operators followed and a pipeline was created. But there was a catch. McDonald owned the land, they set the fees, and they paid your lots. So join us today while we talk about how McDonald's created a black franchise empire and everything that it cost. I'm your host, Country Boy. This is One Mic Black History, and if you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at onemichistory.com. But without further ado, let's get started. After World War II, America built a new life around cars and suburbia and highways. Interstates cut through black neighborhoods, urban renewal cleared blocks in the name of progress, banks drew red lines on maps around black homes, and the GI Bill helped white veterans buy homes and businesses at a greater clip than their black counterparts. As factories left the city, steady jobs left too. White flight followed, and with that went supermarkets and many white-owned stores. By the mid-60s, a lot of black neighborhoods had fewer jobs, fewer full-service grocery stores, and very little new investment. During the same time, franchisees loved this new America. They had simple menus, fast service, and big parking lots off the highway. Chains like Holiday Inn, Hojo, and new burger brands were built for drivers and suburbia. So in 1956, McDonald's finance chief Harry Sonborn created the Franchise Realty Company. The company would own the land and the building, and operators would run the store, pay a fee, and rent. That meant steady profits for McDonald's even when the store struggled. Most of the risk sat with the owner. Training got standardized at Hamburger University, and ads were funded through a national pool of operators. The model was simple, tight, and built to scale. So black consumers and leaders weren't silent. Since the 1930s, don't buy where you can't work turned shopping into leverage. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 opened lunch counters, but it didn't open bank vaults. In Chicago, Operation Breadbasket used selective patronage to push grocers, bottlers, and phone companies to hire black workers, place contracts with black firms, and deposits in black banks. Johnson Publishing, Ebony, and Jet featured black buying power and sold the vision of how to reach it. The Kerner Commission in 1960 told the country that America was moving towards two separate societies and called out the media for how it pictured black life. Then came April of 1968, and Dr. King was assassinated. Cities erupted. In Chicago, some of its white McDonald's franchisees and workers didn't return. The stores sat dark. McDonald's leaders met with Operation Breadbasket tied to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Local leaders said, if you want trust here, the owners must be black. That same year, Harry Petty took over the Woodlawn store in Chicago's South Side and reopened it December 21st, 1968 as the first black McDonald's franchise. He was trained at Hamburger University, and the company helped him finance, allowing for zero partnerships when needed, and appointing small business administration loans. McDonald even donated the first day's profit from Petty's store to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, tying the brand to Dr. King's dream. Petty did well. A pipeline formed. McDonald's set high priority plan and launched a 50x2 program to launch 50 stores ran by people of color within 2 years. They opened a satellite version of Hamburger University classroom on the South Side, so new owners didn't have to travel all the way to Oak Brook, Illinois. Black owners began to meet, and they formalized in 1972 the National Black McDonald's Operators Association. One member called the group both the NAACP and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference for black operators. It became the inside voice for the push for fair sites, trainings, and contracts. And on the ground, the stores mattered. Black store owners hired locally, sponsored schools and church events, and even supported scholarships. They called it goodwill, and McDonald's executives said that it was cheaper than advertising. Real estate helped too. After the late 1960s uprising, many black neighborhoods became cheap. Between 1968 and 1972, the land values in those areas fell roughly 30% on average. So McDonald's could buy low, build fast, collect rent and fees as their sales grew. So the black owners would then begin demanding better ads. They said, "We pay into the national fund, show us." In 1972, McDonald's would hire Tom Burrell's black-owned ad agency. Burrell called his style positive realism. It showed regular black life with pride, after church, little league nights, grandparents and grandkids, not stereotypes and not pity. It would have lines like, "So good, have around, and get down with something good" at McDonald's. And those landed better than "You deserve a break today," which didn't fit with the lives of people who rarely had a break. Research showed this rose the brand's image, and dollars shifted to Ebony and Jet and black radio, and black artists and models and researchers like Viewpoint got paid to shape the black image. Then civil rights groups would push further. The NAACP used fair share agreements and contracts for black builders, insurers, and distributors. The Black Operators Association stressed that one restaurant could support a web of black businesses around it. The system sent money past the counter into banks, printers, construction crews, and ad shops. However, in that fine print, McDonald's kept the land. Owners paid a monthly fee of about 4% in sales plus rent. Part of that rent is a slice of the sales, which reached up to about 14.5%. Owners also had to pay at least 4% in sales to the National Ad Pool. The company set the standards, inspections, and decided renewals. That is why many owners call themselves captive tenants. In plain words, you ran the store, but the company owns the ground and sets the rules. So site placement became a fight. Black owners said they were being steered towards older inner city and rural locations with lower average sales and higher costs for security and insurance. The Black Operators Association reported that from 2010 to 2019, the average cash flow gap between black and non-black franchisees tripled to about $65,000 per store. And as health debates grew, fast food filled spaces that supermarkets left. But that heavy concentration of chains in poor, segregated areas linked them to higher rates of obesity and diabetes. Some cities saw protests and asked for more fresh food access and more corporate responsibility. Recently, these tensions have bubbled to the surface. Dozens of former black franchisees and some black executives have sued, saying that the system is biased. Herb Washington, a former black ball player, said that he was steered towards weaker markets. McDonald's would purchase his 13 stores for $33.5 million. And it was during this time that black franchisees fell from about 400 in 1998 to just 200 today, even as McDonald's doubled its total franchisees worldwide. So why does any of this matter? McDonald's opened up a real pathway to black ownership and middle-class jobs when other industries stayed closed. In the late 2000s, black McDonald's stores reported more than $2 billion in sales. Company leaders said that McDonald's has created more black millionaires than any other corporation. And the ad shift put black families on national TV like it had always been that way. Yet outcomes are uneven. The same real estate and corporate power that made the model work also put a ceiling on it. It set the door and the deal at the same time. Big brands can push capital, contracts, and images to black communities fast. But if the company owns the land and sets the fees and chooses the sites, your success rides on their map. So let's be clear. McDonald's did the math. And after 1969, land got cheaper. The company owned the dirt and collected the rent and fees no matter who ran that store. Installing black owners protected their assets, rebuilt sales, and won goodwill. Moving ad dollars to black media reached customers other brands were ignoring. And hiring black suppliers kept the system running. Every choice they made followed their balance sheet. And this doesn't erase the good. Black franchisees built real businesses. They hired neighbors and funded scholarships. And Burrell's ads show black life on national TV. Both things can be true. But if we want real ownership, we got to follow the money. Who owns the land under the store? Who owns the corners? Which banks write the loans? Which agencies control the ad budget? And which suppliers get the contracts? These are the answers that decide whether a franchise is built on freedom or just rents it. Thank you. This is the One My Black History. I'm your host, Country Boy, and this is how McDonald's built a black franchise empire. If you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at onemyhistory.com. I'd like to thank all my financial contributors. Without you, none of this could be possible. Thank you all. I love you. Peace.